Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah. In this Design Space tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can create your very own side edge cards for any theme from right within Cricut Design Space. This is something that I've been requested a few times to make a video on since I released my pre-made Halloween and Christmas side edge cards, as well as the newer ones for Easter and Valentine's Day, which you can see here. But what if you want to make your own? What if you want to choose your own pictures to go down the side and then cut the card into the shape of them? Well, that's why you need to keep watching this video. Let's get started. Open up Design Space and start a new project. The first thing I'm going to do is choose the images to use on the side edge card. Go into Images, and then I'm going to do a search. I'm going to do a flower card, I think, so I'll put flower in there. This is going to give me a lot of results, and actually these ones are going to be great for side edge cards. We're looking for very simple images with maybe just a couple of colours on them or just one colour, and something that we're going to be able to cut small from cardstock. So something like this would be no good at all. That's way too intricate. And also these ones, because they've got the editable text on them, which is why they're blue, they're not going to be much good either. I'm just going to have another look through so I can try and talk through what would make a good image and what wouldn't. These ones here, these flowers, are also still a little bit complex. Similarly, these ones, even though this is just one colour and a silhouette, that stem is very small. So if you just wanted that on the side edge, just one of these, and it covered the whole of the card, that would work absolutely fine. But if you wanted to make them small and put maybe 2 or 3 of them down the side, it wouldn't work so well because the stem would get so small it would be hard to cut and would be likely to snap on the cardstock. So I'm just going to keep looking. There's loads in here which would be really nice and suitable. I quite like this one. I'm going to go for this one, and I think I'll have a couple of different flowers. That would be nice. So I'll have those 2. Maybe a third one. Let's see. That one matches too. These ones are all from a guest designer called Wispy Willow Designs. If you want to find them, then you should be able to just type her name into the search and hopefully they'll come up. Alright, so I've got my 3. Here they are. And just make them a little bit smaller. Okay. I'm going to turn my grid lines off because I find it a little bit distracting sometimes to design with them on. An easy way to do that is just to click the little square on the top left of the screen, and then they'll be removed. If you click it and you might just see them bigger instead, just keep clicking and eventually they'll turn off. Now we need to make the shape for the front of the card. Go into Shapes and choose a square. I'm going to do a 7x5 inch card. So I need to untick my padlock by clicking it, and then my width will be 5 inches and my height will be 7. And then I'll make this a nice light colour so it'll be easier for me to see everything I'm about to put on top. I'll zoom in. There we go. Now these flowers are appearing underneath my shape at the moment, so let's click the shape and go Arrange, Center Back, and now you see it's at the bottom of the Layers panel, so now these will go on top. This flower here, this one has the white part of the flower stuck on top, whereas the other 2 have it as a cutout in the shape. I think I prefer it as a cutout in the shape because these are going to be very small when they're actually cut out down the side of the card. So just putting that circle on would be quite difficult to actually glue on. So I'm going to cut the circle out of the flower instead. I'll go and ungroup the layers, select them again and press Slice. And then delete the 2 little circles, and now I've just got one layer and you see that little circle is now cut out. I'm going to roughly get these flowers where I want them to go on my card. And I'm not putting too much effort into it at the moment. Right now, I just want to get a vague idea of the general sizes these are going to end up. And then we can start playing about by adding an offset to the edge of the flowers, which is what's going to give us our side edge effect. And the reason that I'm putting all of these into size now is it just makes it easier to know what offset size we're going to need when we can see a rough idea of the size. I'm going to duplicate these ones. And that was a bit weird. Flip them vertically and also horizontally. Then I can get a kind of mirror effect there. Actually, that one doesn't quite work at that angle because of the petals on the orange one. All right, so that's a rough idea of what my card is going to look like. Obviously, they're too big at the moment, but that's okay. Click on one of the shapes and go into offset. And then you see this is going to make a really big offset. Don't need it that big. Maybe let's just try 0.1. That's quite a good size. Let's click apply on that one. And then do the same for all of the other pictures you've got. And it should remember the number you put in when you do the subsequent ones. I will be filling in these tiny gaps in the middles at the end, but not worrying about it for now. Now I can start getting this exactly the right size. So let's click all of these layers. I've got the shift key down on my keyboard as I click them, and then make them smaller. I'm going to want my top flower to touch the top of the card and the bottom one to touch the bottom, and then the sides to roughly touch the edge. And there's an easy way we can do that, which I'll show you in a moment. First, I just want to also make sure that all of these flowers, the offset parts touch, and that's looking pretty good. All right, let's select them all again. Actually, I want to select the square as well. So let's just cheat and go select all, and then align, right. Now that didn't work. And I kind of thought it wasn't going to. It's because I need to group all of the coloured parts to their matching offset first. So let's click undo. It's good to make mistakes in videos because then you can see what I've done and hopefully not repeat the same thing. Okay, so first I need to select each flower with its offset and just group them. And that means that the coloured flowers are going to keep their positioning inside the black offset when I do the next step. All right, now I can select all and go align right. And you see what that's done? So it's moved all of the flowers so that that offset layer is now going to be touching the very edge of my base rectangle. We're going to be cutting off all of the yellow that appears in the gaps. But first, we need to sort out our top and our bottom flowers because at the moment they're going over the edge. I'll start by selecting my 3 middle flowers. And I'm pressing Shift on my keyboard when I select them, and that square, and group them. That's moved it to the top, so we'll go Arrange, Center Back. Now I'm going to click the square, and one of my other flowers, this is the top one, I think. No, it's the bottom one. All right, so because this is the bottom one, let's go Arrange, nope, Align, Align Bottom. And that's going to push them up so that now this flower is perfectly touching the bottom of the card. Group it again at this point and send it back to the back. Now I can press Select All, and now that's selected my top flower here, and go Align, Align Top. This only works if you group the bottom flower after you have positioned that one, otherwise that one will shift out of line again if it's not in a group when you try doing it with the top flower. But that's all in position now. It's touching the top, all of these are touching the side and it's touching the bottom. Now I'm going to go through and just ungroup everything. So every little thing I've got in a group, I'm just clicking that group title and hitting the ungroup button. I'm going to select all of my offset layers by clicking with my mouse, pressing shift and clicking all the others, and then go into combine and weld. Now weld is a permanent change, so make sure you're happy with how it's looking before you do this. That merges these all into one layer. Let's take these teeny tiny gaps out of the flowers. So I'll click on that one and go into contour and press hide all contours, this window. And that's filled in all those little gaps for me. I'm going to drag it down underneath the flowers just so that I get to see all of those pretty flowers again. And then I'm going to get rid of everything that's showing in these gaps in the square. There are lots of different ways you could do this. I find that it's actually kind of quickest and easiest just to mash a load of shapes on top and then slice it out. So I'm going to go into shapes and choose, I'm going to go for some circles, I think. And I'll make it a colour we're not using so it's easy to see. And then I'm just going to position this over all of the bits of the yellow that are appearing on the right hand side of the black offset layer. You'll need to make a few different ones and rotate them and move them about. For this one I'm also going to, no, I'm not going to keep that yellow bit in there. I was going to slice that out, but actually I'm going to keep it. So just need to make sure that only covers to there. And let's make a big one for that. I'm going to keep that little bit of yellow in there. The black bit you can see will end up the same yellow. It will be the actual base card. Probably should have explained that better. There we go. And now just one more little bit for in there. So let's make a teeny tiny little bit in there. And then select all of your ovals when you're done and press combine and weld. And that turns them into one. So now we can click on that, press shift and choose the square and slice those out from each other. We don't need the blue layers now, so I'll delete both of those and I'll delete this bit that we cut out. It's looking a little bit strange now, but don't worry. Now if we select the yellow bit we've got left and that weld result layer of our black offset and go combine, weld, that will join them together. I'll make it my yellow again. There we go. And if we move that to the bottom, you see we've now got the front of our side edge card and it is looking absolutely beautiful. And when we click it, it's still that original 5 by 7 inches. Now we need to do the back of the card so that we can then fold it in half. And when I'm making these, I like to replicate the cutout effect on the side, on the back of the card, so that it all lines up once it's folded. So I'm going to group all these flowers and just hide them by clicking the eye icon here. I'll put them back on later. If you want to, you can rename the group with what it is. So here is my front of the card. I need to duplicate it to make the back and then go into flip horizontal. This is now a mirror image of my original one. I'm going to line them up so that they're almost touching. Select both of them and go align top. And now I know that they're perfectly aligned on here. I'm going to click one of them and just nudge it with the keys on my keyboard until they're overlapping ever so slightly and you can't see a gap in the middle. I think I might need to do it one more. There we go. So now we've just got a nice solid line. I'm going to select these and go into Combine, and this time I'm going to press Unite. I can still see that line after the Unite, which means that actually these are not quite touching. So my Cricut would still cut them into two separate pieces. If yours does the same thing, click on one of the layers in the Layers panel under the Unite, and once you've selected the layer, which you know because it gets that little grey blue background, then just shift it with the arrows on your keyboard and then let go. Mine still needs to move a little bit more, so I'll click it again, press my arrow, and now you see the line down the middle is gone, which means that I've moved these close enough that there's a teeny little overlap in there. So now it's all going to cut as one piece. That is perfect. That's exactly what I want. So now I can turn on my flowers again, and let's move them to the front. And there is my side edge card. I think it would be nice to fill in the middle of these flowers with a different colour. So let's have a little play with that. I'm going to duplicate this and just change the colour of everything so that I know which one's which. And then select both of those groups and go align, align, centre to put them one on top of the other. And then I want that one at the top. So I'll hide this one, my top one, and then this will be my bottom flowers. Ungroup it to separate the layers, and then we can go into each one and contour out the middle. Turn those original ones back on, and now let's play with the colours. I like the orange and the pink, but I think maybe this one could be a purple, maybe? Maybe not. Maybe a blue, like a dusky blue. That's quite nice. And then for my bottom colours, let's go for... Maybe I'll just switch it around and use the same colours that are on the other flowers, but just alternate which one's in the middle. So this one would be my dusky blue, this one would have to be the orangey colour, and then this one would be the dusky blue again. Now each of my flowers will be 2 layers, so what I'll do is the very bottom one that now has my gap filled in, I'll stick that one on with my foam squares to give the card a bit of dimension, and then the one on top with the hole cut out the middle, I'll glue on top. I'll show you all that in a moment. This is ready to cut, but before I do that, I'm just going to save it. So let's call it Flower Side Edge Card. You definitely want to save before cutting it out, just in case, because we've done a lot of work here and we don't want to lose it all. There's one more thing you might like to do, and that's to add a score line down the middle of the card to make it easier to know where to fold. To do that, go into Shapes and choose your score line. And I'm actually just going to delete that. Before I do that, I'm going to select everything on my card and group it. Otherwise, when I try and position the score line, it will move all my flowers out of place. Let's try that again. Score line. Make the height 7 inches. Press Select All. Align, Center. And that puts the score line directly in the middle. And then press Attach. Nope, don't press Attach because that'll try and attach it to the whole group. So what we need to do before we can attach that score line is click on the card group again and ungroup it. And then under my Unite, I'm going to go to Combine and Merge Layers, turn it into one. Drag my score line above it. And now select both of those and attach. And then arrange, center back to put it at the bottom. The reason that I did that is that you can't attach something if it's in a group. It isn't what we want to do. We want that attached to be on the base card. So I had to ungroup the base card from all of the flowers and then merge the Unite layers to turn it into one so that I can get it all in the right place. Let's just save that again. And now this is ready to cut. So I'll go into Make It just to show you what it looks like. I've got my flowers, I've got my base card, and my other flowers there. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything cut out from cardstock, and then I'll show you how to stick it together. Here are my layers cut out and ready to stick together. First, I'm going to fold my card. I've got my score line down the middle, so I can just gently fold it along that. Start the crease off, and then fold it, and it will be perfectly in half. So I've got my front and my back with that nice side edge effect. Next, I need to sort out which flower goes where and in what order. They're not symmetrical, so it might take a little while to work out. Maybe it's that way. There we go. The ones with my middles taken out are the ones that will appear on the bottom. Probably would have been easier with more symmetrical edges, but never mind. You know when you've got it into the right place, because you'll get the same amount of space on that side edge along all of the parts of your image. That one's right. And then I can work out which bit's going on top. I think I'll glue them first. So now that I've just laid them all on, I'm actually going to move them. Because I figure actually it'd be easier to get the positioning if I glue it first. So I'm adding glue to the backs of my top layer of the flower. And then stick that on. The reason I've gone for this way, and then I'll put it back on the card, is that if I hadn't quite lined it up right, you see, I've got a little bit of wiggle room until that glue's dry. And I can put it back in place. Want to check I actually stick these the right way round too. They're very tricky images I chose. There we go. So now I know that's going to be right. So I can turn that upside down and add my glue. Ah, there we go. That's right. I think that's what I just had. I don't know. I'm confusing myself. Right, I'm going to go through and work out the other ones. And just speed it up on the edits so that you don't have to watch me struggling with these little flowers. Oh dear. Phew! I'm sure that was far more stressful than it should have been. Now that I've got these glued on, I'm going to stick them to my card using some 3D foam squares. You could glue them onto the card if you want to. But I like to add a little pop of dimension. I just totally put that in the wrong place. I gotta get them lined up again. There, all 5 flowers stuck on, and now I would have the left of the card to add any other embellishments or toppers or writing or decorations, whatever I want to, or you could just leave it like that because it is perfectly beautiful as it is. This should fit into a 5x7 inch envelope, but if you want to make your own custom envelope, then make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because there'll be a video coming out next week on how to make your own envelopes and make sure that they fit any size card. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make your own side edge cards in Cricut Design Space. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for lots more Design Space and Cricut craft tutorials. Thank you for watching. Bye!